Dr. Seema Chopra is working as Global Technical Leader for Data Analytics at Boeing Research and Technology India. She has been recognized as a part of Boeing Technical Fellowship and became Boeing's India's first Associate Technical Fellow for Artificial Intelligence. Her current work includes developing next generation advanced health management technologies using analytics and big data platforms for commercial and defense applications. Prior to this role, she was with GE as a PHM technical leader and was involved in design and developing prognostic health management technologies to enable strategic growth for condition-based maintenance for gas turbines. Seema earned her doctorate degree in control engineering from IIT Roorkee, and the focused area was to design fuzzy controller with intelligent design approaches which reduce rule set. SEMA is certified black belt, DFSS, Lean Six Sigma, and has 14 patents, 5 trade secrets, 35 plus publications in various international and national journals and conferences, 8 technical reports, and received several awards for leadership and technical expertise, including 2019 IEEE Women in Engineering Achiever Award, the PHM Enterprise Award from President and CEO GE Power Gen Services, and GE Impact Award from the CEO of GE for volunteering on the midday meal program. For this talk. As Robert Cormier said, the beautiful part of writing is that you don't have to get it right the first time, unlike, say, a brain surgeon. As a general rule, your paper needs to convince your audience three key points: that the problem is interesting, it is hard, and you solved it. Now, the question is, how should I communicate to the research community and reviewers? This talk will cover the several different aspects of how to write a good technical paper and communicate in an effective way. Over to you, Seema.
Thanks, Anand, for the introduction. Yeah, you rightly said writing is an art. So, but nobody says that you have to write first time correctly. So, thanks everyone for joining, and thanks Anand for coordinating and organizing this session and giving me an opportunity to talk. Let me, without delay, I will start sharing my screen. So, as mm, Anand mentioned, you I can hear back myself, Anand. There is something wrong.
Yeah, if someone is having their microphone kept on, kindly mute yourself.
Okay, great. Yeah. So can you see my screen?
Yes, it's visible. Again, I'm hearing a code. Kindly mute yourself.
Anand, you can mute to everyone as an organizer. Okay, thanks. Okay, so now I'm okay to take questions in between. You can write, as Anand has mentioned, you can write it in the chat window. So we will review your questions maybe after 20 minutes of the talk, or wherever there is a break that makes sense to take a break in between. And the other thing is like mm, my main aim is here. Maybe let's get into the abstract way, which Anand already talked about. So thanks. So this is organized by IEEE and specifically the IEEE Computer Society chapter. And the main aim was, to convey this message, how we can write, how writing is very important, and and specifically communicating in a nice way when you spend a lot of time on your research. So, as a general rule, right? So, three things you have to keep in mind when you are conveying the message. Your problem is interesting and it is hard, and you have solved it, right? So, you have to mention clearly. But as Robert Cormier says, don't you don't have to get it right when you're writing it in the first time. So keep change it, but convey these three message that is important. Now, how should we convey this? How should a reviewer, when look into your paper and say, "Wow, this is the paper I'm looking for. I don't want to, I want to accept it." How the community should accept your paper when they are reading it? How basically you, when you as a, paper writer, because you are showing yourself as a brand. When you publish many papers, after some time, people will start knowing you that you are the one who are known for this area. So you have to make sure that you write a good technical paper and communicate well, so that the quality is good, so people know you by that area. So that all becomes very important. So that's what all we will cover in the whole talk. And feel free to write whenever you have a question, and we will try to take that. Okay, so why communication is important? We are doing a good job in writing papers, and giving presentation is just as important as doing a good job with your research, right? So we spend a lot of time doing research. We spend a lot of time doing experiments and so many things. But are we doing a good job in when we are writing a paper? Do we spend that much time when we write a paper? So, but that is very important. If that surprise you, I will show you some data. Sorry, just a minute. Yeah. So now, what are the reasons? What are the reasons behind uh, why we should think, we should start spend time on your paper? Now, let's say being, I'm a researcher and I have spent 2.5 years on my research. Now, how much time, if I write a paper, how much time I spent, or if I am reading someone's paper, how much time I spent? I will not spend more than 2.5 weeks in both, right? 2.5 years of research, and we are spending 2.5 weeks of time on reading that paper and or writing that paper. Uh, is that good? No. Yes, we don't know, right? So people will tell you who are looking at your paper. Now, when you go to a conference, your whole 2.5 year research, you spend in 15 minutes, you get a time to present yourself. And 15 minutes, you have to convey that 2.5 years of research. So it's not easy to explain the work you have done in 2.5 years in 15 minutes. So that's why the communication is very important, and how you can, communicate well. Now, as I mentioned, so it is very important to have a reputation for your research. It is very important that the person next is writing a paper, and we know him. He is expert in artificial intelligence. He is an expert in materials. The people know you, and people know you that you are the person who write good quality papers. Then the quantity. Now some people has an intention, okay, I have 50 paper, now I will get into 100, right? So we should not get into that trend at all. Quantity doesn't matter. People remember you by quality. If you have 200 paper or 100 paper, and you are the people might say, that person change, from here to here. People change some material paper from the, from one paper, and then you change some results there, and you put in another paper. People will start knowing you, whoever is reading your paper. And tomorrow when someone says Mr. X has written 100 papers, he said, oh no, I know that person is not that good. He is just changing little bit and keep writing papers. But on the other hand, you will say, I have this less paper, but go read those papers. That is give you quality. So that's how that becomes very important when you write paper, that how you're conveying that. Now, moving to the next one, steps to write a technical paper. So when we write a technical paper, the first important thing is know your audience. You have to know, even if you're communicating through emails, or if you're presenting or paper, we have to know our audience. So if we live in a corporate world, or if you're in a say university, or if you start telling a story of a technical, this mathematical formula, or this is what I did, to a management person who will not understand anything, or who will may not appreciate. So you have to speak what he want to hear, not what you want to tell. Because what happens is we are so engrossed into our research. We have spent years on our research, right? So we would, when we start talking about it, we will not stop. We will say, okay, I have done this, and you would like to tell, hey, month back I did that as well, or 6 months back I did that as well. So that way, because you that research is close to your heart, but you have to understand, what exactly your audience is, whether he or she wants to hear you in that way or not. And now, if you talking to a technical person and you talk at very high level, hey, I have done this, it can solve this problem, and it will this much impact and all. He will say, you tell me technically what you did, right? So he will ask, he is more interested in your equations and how you have solved it. So he's more interested into those contents than that a management person. So you have to make that balance wherever you're communicating. Now, the next one is organizing your thoughts. So you have to organize, how, what exactly you want to write. As we talked, right, 2.5 years of research. When you're writing, we will cover in the detail about all these later. But you have to make sure that, you are clear what exactly you want to write in your paper before, you should not like that, I will start writing it and it will come up something like that. Because if you have done 2.5 years of research, you will be must have lot of things to say. But is it okay to say everything in this paper, or is it, just see that I will write on this particular piece? And then next important things become is the follow the journal style guide. So every journal, including IEEE or a IEEE conference, we have a format for that. So you have to make sure you follow the format, because that is a very big thing when we write. When we, I'm a reviewer in many journals, so we look into that. So that's the first thing we look, whether you are following the template or not. Then, also pay close attention to copyright and ethics issues. We have to make sure you're not copying anything from here, and you have to same time you have to make sure that whatever you're publishing, whether it is very new thing. Uh, can before writing a paper, should I think of a patent before that? Because if you think it's really a good new thing which nobody has done that, I will first go check with IP and check if we can file a patent instead of writing a publication there. So we have to pay attention in those things as well, and refine your work. So, you know, uh, we have to recheck, refine, and look into the work again and again, so that it comes very well. And this is another tough task: know when to stop writing. When we start writing and we have done a good work, you will keep writing it. I will tell you those instances where we don't know when to stop, but we have to put a line. We will talk about that. So that's an art as well. Then grammar and punctuation errors common to engineers. I accept that. We can't be a perfect English professor. So we will do, all engineers, let's accept that we will do all errors. It's okay to review your paper with the person who is not from the engineering background. It's a separate person from English background. So it's always good to do that. I used I used to do that a lot when I was doing my PhD and masters. My brother was doing masters in English, so he used to review my papers. So that way it has helped me to improve. So I will suggest the same thing to you all. Now, so what we will do is, now we will go one by one, whatever the points I have mentioned here. So we will talk in detail. So know your audience. So this is so when you are writing something, you have to make sure, there are different type of journals. So if you are, say, writing in IEEE in computer applications, or so, there many different things will come. It is like very journal. If you are talking very specific to, say, fuzzy logic, you will follow on IEEE fuzzy journal, right, or neural network. See, I am from AI background, artificial background, so I'm giving those examples. Apologize, but that's what, how, when you are in your field, that's how it keep coming. So then that's how it, you will be able to you have to think, whether you are writing it in a which journal, right? So based on that, you have to bring, all the information. Then peers in your general field. So you might know that, so you are a, say, you did a PhD in, say, fuzzy logic, or, say, neural network, but your peers are from computer background, but they are in different fields. Will they be, if they are your audience, you have to make sure that they should also understand that. And the technical people not in your field. Now, again, taking an example of like, AI. So, but AI can be applied to different example, right? So let's say material person want to use artificial intelligence in his field, so he is reading those papers and he want to identify if he can use that. So those are the people also we have to keep in mind, if that is my audience, and how should I convey to them, because they are not the AI expert, but they want to use my technology. A non-engineering but professional audience, that is also possible, right? So where they are mm, non-engineering people, but they will be they want to, they might be your audience as well. So decide who is your primary audience, understand who are your secondary audience. Based on that, communicate, and it not only applies to the paper, it applies into your daily life as well. Whoever you're talking to, you have to talk in that same language, right? So that's the first message. Now organize your thoughts. uh, let's say so these abstracts, introduction, background, literature review, methods, these are the main parts of any journal paper, any paper you are writing. So this is how the format look like. It might be little different in, say, ASME, it might be little different in IEEE, but you will be covering more or less these topics. Now let's talk about the topic. So when I will talk about, about this, so whenever if I'm a reviewer, or even if I want to read any paper for my research, first thing I will read is abstract, and second thing I will read is conclusion, because I want to understand what this paper is about before getting into the detail of that, right? What problem you're trying to solve. And then I want to know your findings. What did you find? So these two give me the summary. So these two become very important when you're writing, right? So in abstract, try, so how many lines you're writing, but try to cover what is your problem, how the study addresses this problem, how did you solve that problem in few lines, and the key results. You have to, because you want to make sure, the person who is reading this paper should read the full paper. So abstract should be very important. So you have to write, the in few lines you have to describe your problem and why are you solving, how did you solve this problem, and the results. uh, we have to always keep in mind, whatever we are writing, our main aim is to report my research findings, right? Your research findings, not anyone's task there. So that's why wherever, even if you're writing prior background or, abstract or something, you have to always keep that in mind what you are reporting there. Now, introduction, I will suggest always write it in the last, because introduction is a bigger form of abstract, covers the whole structure of your paper. So if your paper is already ready, that, whatever you have written, it will it become very easy to write introduction. And not only paper, even PhD thesis and all, introduction we should write later. First, we should focus on the other things, because that becomes very easy, because you already have written, so that's what you have to cover in introduction. Now, background or literature review. This is the most difficult part of the paper to write. You don't know how many reviewers I should include, how many paper I have, and you can keep writing it. You don't know how did I covered all that. So this is the most difficult part. So uh, if I can give you some tips here, so let's say if I'm writing a paper, now I can't do a complete research for AI or ML or something, right? So let's say I'm writing a paper on human-centric machine learning. So in that, human-centric machine learning, if in a very layman language, if I have to explain, is basically opening up the black box models, right? So how can a human understand that? How can human add their inputs? So when I am writing this, when I'm doing a literature review, instead of doing the literature review, I will not be looking into the paper only with AI or ML. I will include human into it. That will give me the right set of paper. And then I will include papers in my paper who has actually done any work to make human life or human understanding more in those black box models. How can they open up those machine learning models instead of saying, this problem will happen because of this, my neural network is saying? No, instead of that, can tell why this problem will happen. So I will come to that context. I will look into my paper and I will include those paper in the literature review instead of just very journal paper he has written about, in AI, he has worked on ML. No, that's how you should decide what review paper should be. And at the same time, we don't want to make sure, when I review the paper, and so there are would like to first see whether this you have included the most. If I am expert in that, I will definitely know that this some person has done a very good research in this area, and have you included that? So if you have not included that, I will doubt that you really read all the research before on this, before you decided the problem. So that's why this is a difficult part, but yes, we have to write very relevant literature review. Now the next one, the easiest part is your process, method, material, whatever the work, research, your research. That is very easy to write because you have worked on it, right? So it's easy. You will put, I worked on this method, these were my results, this is the data I used, and so on. So these two are very straightforward and you can write very nicely. And discussion is sometimes in some papers we write discussion, your ideas on what these data means, and more description, or you can even cover that in during the data and results as well. Now again we come to the important part, which is conclusion, because that's what people might decide based on reading that I should read this paper or not. Then conclusion is very important. You have to summarize what all we have been talking about. You have to summary, you have to give the summary of your findings. You have to even highlight, these are limitations of my study. Don't always say, we become a big boss, I have solved it. No, you have not solved the world. There are few things which people are still doing. It's okay to mention those. And also recommendation based on your study. You have spent 2.5 years on this research. What recommendation you will give to the audience, or to the other world, saying do this or do use this that way. All the recommendations, whatever you want to give, highlight that. So conclusion become really important in that way. Uh, Now then acknowledgements. So acknowledgements is basically if you are you have received any grant resource, you want to highlight that in acknowledgements. You want to mention if somebody is trying to help you, say guide you, or somebody is basically helping you to review the paper before you submit. So you have to highlight all that, and it's okay to thanks everyone who has supported you, right? So write it in a nice way. Then comes the references. So references pay special attention to the journal guidelines, because every journal guideline will have a different way to write the references. Somebody will say, put the author's name first and then write the paper name and year or so. Somebody are writing in a different way references. So make sure you read the proper guidelines and write the references. But always remember, your main purpose is to report your research findings. You will not reporting what all other people has done. You're telling other people has done this, but I did this. I have done little better than what was there earlier, right? Or what are limitations of your study? I would like to pursue that in the next upcoming, say few months or years. You can highlight all that. So that's what I mean by organize your thoughts. So when you're thinking what exactly you want to write, you have to start thinking and organize your thoughts and then start writing. Okay, now moving to follow the journal style guide. So you have to check the guidelines of the journal paper, that what exactly, or the conference paper, what are the guidelines, whether we have told you to write a 6-page paper, or we have told you to write a 4-page paper, or so on. uh, if if you're not following that, let's say the instructions were that you have to write a 6-page paper, is it that okay to write 5-page, but you are not supposed to write a single line extra in the 7th page? So with your paper will get rejected. So that's a first rule when we look into all the papers, whether you are following the guidelines or not. Now, sometimes I have seen, because we don't spend much time on the writing research paper, right? So people will just start writing in a different format. If it has written, say you have to write in Times New Roman or so on, in this font and this font, and you have to follow that. Because if I am a IEEE reviewer, I know how my paper look like, right? I have to not even to think, if you have used a different format, I should be able to point out, saying uh, why uh, why you have written the different format here. So I'll pick it quickly, so because I am used to seeing those format. So that is the instruction to all the reviewers when we review the papers, saying if they're not following the guideline, reject it. So that's how we reject the paper. And I see some similar question came in the chat box as well. Now my suggested strategy will be, find out and understand the style of that journal or proceedings. Write your paper freely. First, you don't worry about that. Don't be over concerned that whether my style is matching or not. First, write your paper freely. Cover the things we have talked, like abstract, introduction, and all, in your own way. And once you have written your paper, you edit your paper in before submitting. And go check, tell your friends, whether you can review it, and whether it is following the guidelines or not. So that is the first thing why the paper get rejected. Okay. Now, refining your work. So Anand, we want to take questions now before I get into this.
Yeah, if you want to take questions, we can go ahead.
Okay. Let's take few of the questions.
Yeah. So the first question we received was how to get grants from IEEE.
So
I'm not
that you,
sure.
yeah, I think that is not part of this. We will cover that separately. If you have a question, send it to the IEEE and we will cover there.
Yeah. So second question is, can we really deny the fact that the quantity of publication is not important considering the UGC and AICTE criteria for the selections?
See, the quality is very important than quantity. If you are applying for UGC or AICT, you know that this is a limitations there, then you have to work hard. You have to work hard and develop new research, right? It's not. I don't know whether UGC will help you there if you are submitting a one paper with little changing and there. If the quality is not good, that will not help. You have to make sure that quality you give first preference, quantity next. If you think you're not meeting the criteria, you spend one more year and do more research, and then write more. That will be my suggestion.
Okay. Another question we received was to guide on writing a review paper as well.
Okay, so I'm covering that in the last slide little bit. Maybe I will take that question that time.
Sure. Another question is how to get a mentor in IEEE. I'm not sure if it is related to getting a mentor for writing a paper. If it's not related to paper, maybe we can skip the question.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can search that in IEEE site. We will not answer the questions which are directly related, not related to the paper.
So another question we have is how about a few tips on abstract submission for the conference based on which you are selected?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, abstract submission is very, very important. And just remember three things to write, what problem you're trying to solve, and how did you solve it? And your key results should come in abstract, because the time you have spent on your research, the person who is reading your abstract will not spend that much time on that, right? So if you will not convey that these three things in paper in your abstract, it might not get accepted. So it's better to what is the problem you're trying to solve, how did you solve, and what are the key results. These three things convey that message.
Sure.
Don't write, somebody did this, somebody did this in abstract. Don't waste your time on that. Write what you did.
Thank you. Then the question is, what is the basic reason a paper gets rejected? I guess it was part of your session, but if you want to answer it explicitly.
Yeah, so I think we will cover that in the further detail as well. But one reason I have already given you uh, about, if you're not following the guidelines.
Sure. Another question we have is it necessary to compare our method with existing methods? There may be some case where we can't compare two methods.
Not always. If it is comparable, then only you will compare those methods. If you can compare it, if it is method is working on, or if you and if you are working on a similar data set and you think there are two or three methods can be applied there, and you can compare, put that. If you can't, don't forcefully put that. I mean, nobody told you to put compare methods.
Yeah. So another question we have is, you said it is difficult to sum up 2.5 years of work in just 15 minutes. Uh, so the question is, can you please elaborate how to summarize that?
That's what the presentation is. We will continue the discussion then, and we will cover rest of the questions again.
Yeah. So another question is, so the person needs some guidance on thesis writing also.
Yeah, so thesis writing is the same art what I have told you. So just follow the same thing. Thesis is a bigger version having a 200 pages, and paper is like 4 or 5 pages. So it is the same art. Only thing is your every chapter can become one paper, and just think of that way. But the format will be quite similar what we have discussed earlier. And yeah, if you see this, right? So this is the same format we follow in thesis as well. Only thing is your methods and materials and data and results will have is different chapters there. So where you will be writing about your work. So that's how. So just follow this in the term of thesis as well. So Anand, we will take now other questions again after 15
Sure,
minutes.
sure, sure.
Okay, great. So, we covered what organize your thoughts, and then we covered the style guide, and now I'm coming to refine your work. Now, what happens is, now when we are in the mode of writing, we keep writing, and we don't come out of that mode. We have to, once we finish that, put the document away for a couple of days. Don't think about that. And because you have to come out of that mode and you think read that differently, so that becomes very important. Now once you are reading that again, take a printout, take a marker, and start uh, underline it, or scratching it where you feel you oh, I could have written this, I could have not written this. You will cut all those things. You do it with the pencil and paper. That works very well based on experience, I'm telling you. And then while you're doing that, make a checklist and go through that. Okay, I have added this. Did I follow my all the guidelines? Did I included this research which I wanted to include? Did I included the conclusion perfectly, or whatever? Put your checklist. Did I result added this table which I wanted to? All that, and then go through the paper several times. Now, the flow of thought is very important. So, if you remember in our school days, we used to, the teacher used to say us, right? Say if you're writing a creative writing, first give the, what the introduction, and then, what did you do during that time, and what was the conclusion, and what did you like about that. So, it is like, it should be in the flow of thought. what I have seen in sometime paper is papers people keep jumping from one place to other place. They have started writing for something and then say, oh, they will introduce something new term there. They will not finish that. So that is a poor quality of the paper. If you are writing something, you have to flow. The flow should come very clearly. That if you are introducing some new words here, talk about that. Why you have introduced, how it is relevant to your paper. So you have to write the flow. We already talked one of the flow, but flow of thought is also very important. And in text citations and references, please include whatever, if you have taken even a single line or a word or something, please include that in your references. If you have read some paper and you try to replicate that, please include all those references. If you have even taken an equation or from Wikipedia or something, include everything. That is important. Because these days, when we read the papers, when we review, we have a different plagiarism tools which will help us to, whether from where you have taken this. So that I'm not doing much work these days. I will, run that tool first. I will get what are the closest paper to you, and then I will be able to catch you if you have taken some information and you have not referred that. So that's why this become very important. We already talked about grammar and punctuation. We are engineers, except that we will do errors and we have to make sure that that error not come in our writing style. So let it get reviewed again and again with the people not from technical background, people who are really English professors or somebody who can help you. So the other next one I will say is equation, figure, and tables. So the general mistakes I will tell you in the paper what they do is, so they will write an equation, they will write, there will be a figure, they will not talk about that in the paper. They will write, they forget. If you have introduced that figure or an equation or a table, you have to give the reference for that paper. That in paper, I have used, so my results are shown in this table, or in this figure I'm showing the process flow. If you have not talked about that in your paper, then why are you introducing that figure? It means you don't require that, not to fill your place, right? That I have to write this many pages or so. Now, conformance to the style guide, we already talked about that. That is also one of the criteria, and which is a major criteria. People don't even review the paper if it is not following the guidelines. So, if I get say people paper for review, I can definitely say that three paper get rejected just because of that. Then it's make my life easy that I have to review now 7 papers, but it is not good for you, right? So because if you have done a lot of good time spent in your research, why didn't you spend time in writing the research paper and understanding what were the guidelines? So that's how you have to refine your work again and again so that you include all that. Okay, now moving to interesting part, know when to stop, right? So this is an interesting art. Editor-in-chief once told me that it could take a lifetime to learn the art of knowing when to stop writing. And specifically with the researchers, professors, and we people, right? So, we're so close to our research, we feel like, I have to tell everything. So, but it's an art when you have to say, I will now stop writing. As I talked about, now your references as well, or your prior art, right? You are writing. So you have to make sure that, give the right information. So there is a point in your writing or editing when you must stop or risk having your material degenerate. If you're in putting too much information into the paper, telling lot of things in the paper, we lose interest. We will not have interest, uh, uh, that, okay, so now you were talking about this technology, suddenly you talked about that technology. If you think you have done a very good work, write 2 3 papers there instead of including everything, in a one paper. So I will recommend have a separate paper for the technology. Don't try to introduce many things in the paper. So that's another art. Now, now we will have a standard outline for a technical paper. So I will would like to cover few more important things here. I mean, we already talked about, abstract introduction and method and material data and results, all that. But there are few examples I will take here to give you more ideas. But before that, let's take few more questions. Anand,
Yes, Seema, sure. Uh, yeah, so give me a second. I'm still, yeah. So if you are not able to hear the audio, I think most of the people are able to hear the audio. Kindly check your audio device. So WebEx might be having some problem when your net is slower or something. First question we have from Yash. So I have two papers. He's asking how to publish them in IEEE.
Okay, so the first thing is we have to know which there is a different journal in IEEE, and there are different conferences in IEEE. So you have to first check is which area you belongs to, and secondly, just go to IEEE website, or you search it in the Google. What are the, if you are writing in a journal paper, goes to the specific journal which your area belongs to. And if it is you're thinking from a conference paper, just go and see the timelines and of the different conferences, and submit your paper. Follow the steps which we are talking and submit.
Yeah, sure. So another question, I think that answers your question. So another question we have from Pooja is, ma'am, is there any difference between technical paper and research paper?
Uh, Pooja, I don't think so. There is a difference between a technical paper and research. It is one and the same thing. We are, we take these names. Sometimes we call it research paper. Sometimes we call it technical paper. Only thing, even if a software person is submitting a paper, and if they have not done a research on that, it is something you can call that as a technical paper. But I will say, we take these words. Uh, like we both the words are, I for me it is like common.
We have another question from Pooja. In our college, regularly technical paper writing competition is held, and they gave some topics to write on. So I want to know whether writing technical paper is same as writing essays.
uh, Essay, what is essay? Okay, essay, double essay. Okay. uh, yeah, so essay was like, this is typically when we used to write it in the class. We will not have your the title like this. It will be in the form of essay, right? If I have to say. But the thoughts, organizing your thoughts, refine your work, and all that applies to both, right? You have to make sure that you convey what exactly you want to convey, the flow of the thoughts, etc. So that that applies to both, but not the format specifically in the way we write in the paper.
Yeah. So another question we have from Pavita is it possible to make Q1 or Q2 paper within short time?
Q1 and Q2. What does that
Q1
mean?
or Q2 paper with short time. I'm also not sure what she actually meant.
Would you
Uh,
like to write the clarity, whoever has written that? What is
yes,
Q1 and Q2?
yeah, so can Pavita just mention the question again in the chat window? Thank you. So from Sunday, we have a question. Why review papers have low acceptance rate?
See, so yeah, so I was thinking I'll talk in the last, but let me just take a break and talk about that. So review paper, you have to understand what exactly the review paper is. So review paper is basically, let's say if I'm doing a new research, or any research in that, what I want to do is I will talk about the great work the people has done in those area. I will summarize the way, same way, but I want to summarize that with my thoughts. I want to also, in the end, I want to convey, why I think, this technology is better, and or in what terms you're telling. Say you are applying to aviation area, or you are applying to some other this thing, say autonomous, or any area. So you have to, on what terms you have done that review, and summarize that in the end. So people think, I will take one, talk about one other person and talk about other person, but people don't, summarize that. That's what I think can be the one reason where you don't see the acceptance.
Yes, thank you. Another question we have is on what criteria papers will be rejected? This question was asked by Chaya.
Yeah, so I think we have been talking about this, and we will keep talking further. So few other things, because they're not well organized, then they should not be copy paste from other ways, and the quality should be good. Then the guidelines, we talked about that. So I think we will talk more on that as well.
Sure. So we have a reply from Pagda. So she's asking, is it possible to make Q1 or Q2 paper with short time? And she have explained that Q1 is quartile journal with top rating.
Top raters. That's what. Top.
She meant citation index, it seems.
Yeah, I think impact number. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So so if you're asking, what I generally will do, I will submit the paper to the high impact impact journals first, and I will wait for my response instead of sending that, the Q2 when you're telling, in the short form. I will not do that. I will wait for to get my response, because when you submit to a good journals, you get a good comments as well. You have to make sure, see, the purpose here is not only for publishing. The purpose here is getting feedback back, and you improve yourself, right? Sometimes I can tell you, I have got very good comments which help me to do my pursue my research. So you have to think that way. So let's not do a hurry in, I have to have my paper in a month or 2 months or so. So wait for those comments and work on those comments and then resubmit. Hope that answer your questions.
Yeah. So another question we have is what points should be taken care while doing revision paper, and what is the probability of rejection of revised papers? This question was asked by Sandeep.
Say again, sorry, Anand.
Yeah. So Sandeep has this question: what points should be taken care of while doing revision of papers, and what is the probability of rejection for revised papers?
uh, so the probability, if you have taken those comments into, so revision paper, we already talked about that, so I'm jumping to the second question. So the second question is, if it get rejected and you resubmit it to, the probability is high. If you have worked on those comments and you're submitting in the same journal, it will definitely get accepted because you have fixed those problems. Yeah. So I think we have 10 minutes now. We will get back to the rest of the presentation, and then if time allows, we'll take all the questions later.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Anand. Thanks everyone for asking very interesting questions. Okay, now again, my aim today is, when you go from here, at least you should be able to write one good paper, that my job is done. So now abstract. So as I already talked about that, goal is to motivate your reader to read your paper, right? That's what the abstract is. Because when I am reviewer, or when I am a person who want to pursue research in that area, your main aim is to motivate, your audience. Yeah, so I am your audience. Now you start writing with, this paper presents, because when you start writing these statements, it will help you to think, what I'm presenting, right? So these type of statements help you to organize, okay, I have done this research, but this paper presents about this thing. So you will be able to convey that. Now give the problem specifications and your solutions, and why it is different in 3 lines. Now this is testing your language skills. When you are a researcher, you do lot of good job in, writing in short format. You have to learn these skills. This is all your language skills, that how can you write about your problem and your solution, and why it is different in 3 lines. right? So it's the same like, we say, can you introduce yourself in say 1 minute or few seconds? What all you want to tell about yourself, right? So same way we have to, now you're talking about your research, you're introducing your research to the audience. A must is why you need to solve this problem. When you're writing abstract, if you highlight, why you doing this research, why this is a problem, why nobody has done that. If you highlight that, now those are the key things people say, oh, is it nobody has done that? And this is something, yes, I'm interested to read this paper. So these type of things, make sure, uh, motivate your reader to read your paper. Okay, now introduction. As we talked about that introduction, you should write in the end, but it is a longer version of abstract. So we cover about how the paper is structured. So if you have already written your paper, what are you representing, what not through section names, etc. You cover all that in your introduction. That in the section 1.1, I will cover this. Section 2, I'm going to talk about this and few lines about that. So this is how the somebody has to go on mute, please. Thank you. And must emphasize how you are improving on the prior work and why this is a problem. Again, what we talked about in abstract. We have to make sure that you have a more opportunity to write here. You have few more lines to write here. So you emphasize on why you are improving on the prior work. So again, the goal is to guide the reader how to read this paper, what problem you're solving in a crisp manner. At the end of this section, reader knows who she's going to get out of it, or what you will get out of in this valuable time, right? So I should be able to convey that very nicely, that if I read this paper, after reading the introduction, I should be able to say, okay, what all I'm expecting in the whole paper. I can even jump into from one topic to other topic, because you told me in the introduction I will cover this in this and this and this. So that way it helps. Then prior work you can club with the introduction. Some people in the some journal paper we write together. You can club it with the introduction, that when you're writing this is people has done, you can club with that, or you can write it separately. Make sure you provide all the references relevant to your work. And you should be exhaustive to claim that the current problem is not covered with brief description of the problem. So we have to make sure that's why the prior art becomes important. We already talked about that. You have to write the relevant paper and don't miss a single relevant paper. Try to cover all the relevant papers, what you have read or what you have used for your research paper, because that becomes a problem. And if you have taken someone's work and you written there, and you have not mentioned in your paper. And write on the, we will talk about references, but whatever you are writing in the prior work, you are saying, okay, this author has work on this area. Remember, you have to write a reference number there. Reference number will go in the end as well, but I should be able to say, okay, you're talking about paper number 6 here in your references. So make sure you put that in the bracket, either with the author name or with the number of reference paper. Now results again, try to convey your results either in the use figures. If your results can in the form of tabular form or in the form of graphical, try to put that. Describe like the direct observation first, like pressure versus time. So try to convey that through your results. And then try to link them back with your whatever your features you took, or what is the physics behind them. Try to convey that, try to link whatever, okay, this was my aim and this is what I was trying to do, that with these results I'm able to convey this. So you have to link both of them. And show how to do the result change when you change the variables of the experiment. You have to talk about what is the magnitude up or down, or by how much you have taken, trends or the scaling laws, linear, exponential, or so on. You have to mention all that. If I am if you want your people should start using your research, or people should use your research, you have to make sure you convey that message. Sometimes, we are very interested in one paper, and we know if we have to replicate that, if you want to try that out, that method, and for our comparison, we are not able to do that. So that's where that paper becomes not of interest. So it's better to convey the results how you have received, if it is allowed from your corporate world. Because I'm from a company, so right, so uh, I have to talk, whether I can convey that or not. So we have to go through our processes, and we have to check whether we can convey that or not. But yeah, if you can, please do that. Then conclusion, acknowledgement, and references. I'm covering all the three here. Again, highlighting, reminding you that conclusion is a summary. Whatever you have written in the whole paper, you are summarizing that work, and the person who is reading will first read your abstract and the conclusion, then get into the detail of the paper, because the person wants to know whether this paper is of my interest or not, right? So he want to so make sure that you conclude very nicely. And also, when you have written all the things and you want to revisit everything in a smart way, and then highlight your contribution, that what exactly was your contribution. And goal is to remind the reader of the important aspects of the paper, and specifically the value you bring to that work, right? So that's why I'm again saying, when if we have written introduction, results, discussion, material, so many things, but how will you make sure that you have reminded them that this is what I did, and this is my contribution, this is my recommendation, this is, we talked about that, right? So again, I'm putting more emphasis. So conclusion should be really worth, spend some time on that. Then acknowledgement. No harm to say thanks to anyone. That's my favorite line. So if somebody has helped you, write that. If somebody has granted you, write that. If somebody's data you took, write that. If somebody's lab you used to do your work, write that. So you have to uh, convey that, what all you, who has helped you. And references, I'm going little fast because we have very less time now. We already talked about references. Only thing is, what I want to talk about here is link it, properly link the references. If you have written 20 reference paper, if you are not linking back to your paper, then it means you are just writing for the sake of writing. When I'm reading a paper, or when I'm looking at your references, okay, you have read this reference, this paper, say like that paper of mine you have added. I would like to go back quickly and see, where did you use that in the paper? So properly link back those references, and then write your nice bio so that people know about you, because you are the brand of that paper. You have done that research, you have published that research, and people should remember you. So write a small bio where, with a picture, if the format allows, or if not, write about you, because this is how people will start reminding you, hey, that Mr. X is writing so many good papers in this area, he's expert in that, I have to read his paper. So we follow books, right? The same way people will start following you. Okay, now examples. So two types of paper typically seen. One is the original paper, we already talked about that. And second, survey paper, we discussed about that. So what I am talking about here is, again, just highlighting few things educational, because you are doing a survey paper, and you are highlighting, right? So you are highlighting what all research has been done. So now when you are doing a survey paper, you bring those insights that no one has brought it until now. That's how someone asked me that, why it get rejected. You're not supposed to say, Mr. X did this, Mr. Y did this, Mr. Z did this, and I'm going to include that and put a paper. No. What are your thoughts behind that? What are you bringing to the table after reading that paper? What is your conclusion? And listing new areas of problems. So we have to add, if you are thinking, you have read, 10 papers, and you are summarizing those 10 papers, but talk about what is the future you think should be. what is where the problem is going to and how the problem will get solved. So that's how the survey paper is very important. So if you really want that survey paper not get rejected, don't just copy information or write about others, write about your thoughts as well in the survey paper. So yeah, so this was my last slide, and as I mentioned, I want to thank, these are the references I took because lots of material is available. I thought I will not include take a lot of new things, but this paper I have used. And now it's 4 o'clock, Anand. I don't know how you want to take more questions, or how should we do?
Take a few questions that we received on the chat.
Okay,
Uh,
sure.
so the first question, so the first question is from Sumant. So he's asking when we are doing research, how to make sure we do not miss out papers because there will be so many conferences.
When you are doing a research, you should not miss out any conference. That's what the question is.
Yeah, so he's asking when we are doing research, how to make sure we do not miss out papers because there will be so many conferences.
Yeah, so I mean, you're not supposed to go to every conference. You get a proceedings of those conferences. So if you think you want to, you have uh, uh, some research is there. So if you have missed, do the Google search. So and that's how. So the life is very easy. I mean, if you think nowadays. I don't remember 20 years back, we were so much into internet and all. We used to, take journal papers, print out and read it and all that way. Only our library will have access to those papers in IITs. So, but here now these days, lot of you can take. IEEE allows you to read the very nominal memberships. You take that and be a part of it. So no, so that's how I will suggest to cover if you have not attended the conference.
I think that answers the question. So we have the next question from Sandeep. So what is the actual criteria for plagiarism?
The actual criteria, don't copy. So don't copy anything because the tools which are there, they will go and check. So some people, when I was reviewing the paper, so we have a criteria specifically in IEEE. We don't want if you have submitted paper anywhere, you submit here. Okay, that is the first criteria we take look into IEEE. So if you have submitted in any conference and you have not tell us that, and we found that through the tool, and these days that uh, uh, if you have put it in the conference and then people make it online, you don't even know sometimes. I get to know later. So if we found that, we will be able to reject that even if it is your own paper, same thing and same. We will not accept that. So that is one, and definitely, as I mentioned in my talk, if you have used anyone's research, please highlight that in your paper and give the reference so that don't take anyone's research and claim it. That's short answer.
Okay. So we have another question from Pavan. Pavan is asking how can students write a review paper? Please give us some tips. And he's also asking also we review are review papers by students accepted in IEEE international conferences.
See, I already talked about that, and I will again say it doesn't matter if you are a student or a collegiate or a professor or a corporate word. It will not impact. So when you're writing a review paper, you have to make sure you give your viewpoint. Again, repeating that, don't just copy paste and write about 10 papers there. Why did you do this research? Why did you do the review paper? And what are your future recommendations after reading all that?
Uh, so we have another question from Pizza Morgan. Differences between thesis and paper.
And between?
Thesis and a paper.
Is okay. Yeah, so I think we covered all that question earlier as well. So thesis is a very, very big format of paper. So from that big thesis, you can get say 5 paper out of it, because this is how when we do our PhDs or masters. So, but the rest of the things are same. You have introduction, you have a discussion, you have a conclusion, you give acknowledgement, you have an index there very nicely. You have to follow that. You have to give appendicites. You have to give all that references, which you will not give in the paper. Sometimes you give. So it is a bigger format of paper.
Another question we have from Srividya is, what is the difference between a survey article and a review?
Survey article and review is same. I don't see the difference. You are doing a survey and writing and review paper. It's same.
So we have another question from Yash. My paper was selected in ICC BDC conference, but due to fund, I couldn't go. So how to get fund for conferences outside?
So it depends on conference to conference. Some conferences definitely give you fund, so you approach uh, their organizers. So we do get so like specifically when the college students are coming and we know that they won't be able to afford that. So we recommend giving scholarships to those students so that you can attend some conferences. So I think the best thing is whatever conference you have written and your paper got selected, and if you didn't got the budget from your organization or the school or the college, please write that to them. If they can support, they will support. They will waive your registration fee. If not, the to and fro, they will support you. That's how I will recommend.
Thank you. We have a question from Shakti. She's saying, my
Hello.
question is to, yeah, uh, we have a question from Shakti. So she's saying her question is, to write a technical paper, do we need to have a novel idea in that?
So of course we don't want to if you think you have a very big novel idea which nobody has done that, uh, I will first recommend you to go through the patent. You write a patent on that. Uh, if it is like you're doing comparison and it is a additional, you have just extended that research to say here, then definitely that will be good for paper and there are bright chances it will get accepted. But if there is this much difference, I will go with a patent. It's a novel idea, and before doing this, before getting into publications.
So the next question we have, actually it's a comment from Pagda. She's saying, but reviews will be so long time and that's the problem and we can't hold on.
You have to live with that word. You have to, yeah. We can't. I mean, I know it's frustrating. When I was in that stage, I remember when the result will come every day, I will go and check my mail, whether the comments came or not came, and whether paper got accepted. But we have to live with that word. Keep yourself busy in more research so that you don't wait for that time. So
We have a question from Pizza the Mozin. He's asking, uh, so he's saying how to summarize the entire work in a 15-minute presentation. Probably he's talking about the presentation that we have to do.
yeah, so that I think that was why I talked. If I have conveyed that, I've given you few tips. It is very tough to summarize a research work in 15 minutes. But that's an art you have to learn and you have to follow my presentation. And I'm sure you will be able to do that.
Sure. So we have another question from Pawan. He's asking, in a survey paper, you said about adding thoughts. Should that thoughts be in the form of text or should we add some tables, graphs, analysis, or diagrams?
I mean, it is completely up to you. I mean, you decide because it's again, you communicating. If you think, making a table and comparing those researchers' review paper and say, I mean, simple way you would like to say, okay, these are the papers I read and this is the features you were looking at. And then you compare this person did he has increased this much time, he has done this something new. That is a good art. You can do that way. If you can convey that, some graph analysis, do that. I mean, it's completely up to you how you convey that, but don't leave it by saying, no, this person said this person said this. Then no, add your thoughts, add your conclusion, when you read about those papers, what exactly you learned and what is your recommendation? What do you think the further research should be? Yeah.
Yeah, so another question we have is from Sandeep. He's asking, can you suggest some IEEE journals related to integrated research concerning civil engineering field?
Interesting. So I think civil engineering, I am not sure in IEEE we do have. I I'm not aware of. So for civil engineering, there are definitely different journals. Are you aware of Anand? Any civil engineering?
Yeah, I'm also not aware, but I did a quick check. I could find a few papers that were related to the IEEE fields and civil engineering together in the proceedings of IEEE. So I guess that is one way you can
Yeah,
put it.
because but if you see this, we are electrical electronics, right? We are talking about that electrical electronics engineering. So you might not see, but definitely in journal you can proceedings you can submit.
Sure. We have a question from Yesh Mishra. He's asking if how to get mentors for AI, probably for research.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, just so this is an open-ended question. Whomever you like these days, it's easy for you to, either there are lots of blogs, there you can follow them on the LinkedIn and ask them for mentorship. Uh, I can say that way. I don't know if you are working in some. So there are speed mentoring sessions, then there are STEM sessions where we do. IEEE also do those type of sessions where we allow mentors for them. Try to follow that and identify your mentors. That's IEEE allows you. You have to register for that, and not only IEEE, there are other conferences, and these days do speed mentoring sessions. So try to find one for you. All the
Do we
best.
have any more questions? People can post them in the chat window. We are moving towards the end of the session, so if you have any questions, kindly post them now. We can answer them and we can close the session. Yeah, so we have a question from Vikas. Uh, how do we know this is a novel research if we are doing so?
Yeah, so if it is a novel research, again, when you will not see any patent in that area, any publication in that area, right? So you will be looking into, you can do a Google search, you can find, if somebody has done that. If I, so when we were like, when we were doing those STDs calls and all, we never thought the phone will come, right? Phone is a novel research that time, but what's going next, that's what we have to see when you're thinking from the research point of view. You will be able to see that, but if it is a novel research or not, you do a Google research, and if you think your work is you didn't find something similar, go ahead and go through the patent process, and then IP person will tell you whether somebody has done that or not. That's another way to find whether your idea is really novel.
Uh, so, uh, so we have a question from Yash again. How to register for mentors if we are writing on a particular topic, and he's saying that AI or ML is my topic.
Yeah, try to identify. I mean, the same answer, Josh. You have to find out the relevant conferences wherever you will find people in that. Otherwise, definitely, if you are not attending the conferences and all, webinars and all, you will be able to do the LinkedIn search. That way, you will be able to get it.
Thank you. So we have a question from Syed Shagali. So the question is, ma'am, can we merge two different technologies, and if we get best results, can we put that in a paper?
If you merge two different technologies, okay, yeah. If you okay, the one technology say was available, and then you have another technology, and nobody has done that merging these two, and you found something new, and then you have improved the results. Yeah, please go ahead, submit that.
On top of that, I also that so many ensembles of models and all are coming out. So that can be an example of this, right?
Right, yeah, that can be.
Uh, so do we have more questions?
I think we have run 15 minutes more.
Yes, correct. So I have three rapid fire questions. Okay, so I got a question. So in general, we don't have an access to IEEE paper. So how can we get this? Uh, you want to answer
So
that?
yeah, so I mean, if you are a student, we have a very nominal fee for the that. I mean, specifically in the Computer Society, we have discounts for that. Please register that, and you get to access to the books and the papers and so many things. So just follow that. I wish I can show you that slide, but yeah, there is. Maybe you can write us back to Anand or myself, and I think Vishwas, we will give you how to register, and it's very nominal, and you should register for IEEE, and you will
Uh,
get access.
yeah, sure. To add a point there, one thing is for students, IEEE Computer Society Digital Library is free of cost. And if you are part of an institution and they have an institutional login, even for professional members, you can get the papers. Again, yeah, depends on the institution. Just like Amok mentioned. So again, it depends on the institution. I have three rapid fire questions for you. Don't
Was
think too
it
much. You have to answer it.
that was a surprise?
Not part of the plan. Yeah, I know. That's why it's called rapid fire. So the first question is, what did you feel when you first published the paper? Like when your first paper got submitted and it got accepted.
Oh, that is very, very different feeling. And very excited when I had my first paper. When we submit paper, we were like very in the student time, during MTech and all, getting that paper and presenting. It was very different type of excitement, telling to so many people, and then getting into that world where you will have research communities. So it's very, very good feeling. Thanks, Anand. You have reminded me something now. I'm thinking of that conference where I went and talked about that.
Sure. So another question I have is this: have you ever felt like not continuing this? Oh, this is too much. I can't do it. Ever did you feel that okay, I should leave it and I shouldn't pursue this more?
Okay, when
What
you
did
are
you do
doing,
at that moment?
yeah, I will tell you. So, I did my PhD from IIT Roorkee, and I must say, when you're doing your PhD, that moment comes. That moment comes. So, you get to that frustration level, and if it has not come, you will not feel the value of research.
This
So,
paper.
can you please
Ah,
go on mute?
Yes.
Yes, can you go on mute, please? Yeah. So that's how. So that, yes, it came in my time and when I was doing my PhD, and it was something similar stage when paper was not get accepted, and the pressure from family. You have to finish this, get married, and so many things. But suddenly, after that frustration stage, when it comes, and the things get completely changed, you will see continuously acceptance of paper, and your PhD finishing it. So yeah, so it has happened to me, and I overcome it.
Sure. Thanks a lot for sharing the experience. It was really informative. So my last question is, what do you do in your free time other than writing papers?
So so I'm very passionate about my area. So if I'm not doing my research, or I'm not doing anything in AI, I'm a very much exercise person. I try to do cycling. I try to do swimming, yoga, those type of things. So I do that in my free time. If I don't have kids responsibility that time, if I don't have work at that time, and I'm not doing such type of talks or paper, so that's what I'm in prefer.
Yeah, sure. So I am seeing Atmaneshan raising his hand. Uh, so can you, are you, do you want to ask a question? Okay. Uh, yeah. Okay. Thank you. I think that was by mistake. We have a few questions out there, like what are the benefits of being a member of Computer Society? Actually, it is Computer Society, not Computer Society of India. So it is abbreviated as CS and not CSI. Uh, uh, Seema, would you like to answer that question? What are the
I
benefits of
think
CS?
I think Anand, you being a secretary of IEEE, I will
Yeah.
suggest.
So benefits of being CS is again the same thing. You can get mentors, you can build a network, be like you can get a lot of benefits out of it. Probably this is not a great forum to discuss that. You can write to me personally at anand.j@iiee.org. I'll answer to that question and I'll guide you through the different links and where you can find information and stuff like that. Kindly write to me at anand.j@iiee.org. I'm posting the same in the chat right now.
Okay.
I guess that was most of the questions. Also,
Thanks.
I have a question from Yash asking, can you help him as a mentor?
Sure, Yash, you can connect me on the LinkedIn and we can uh, take it from there. I will see how much I can help you there.
Yeah, Seema,
But
can you
I
just
will,
post your LinkedIn profile URL here so that people can connect?
I think, okay, I have to do it.
Okay, sure. While
Just
that is happening, so I have posted my email address above. It is anand.j@iitb.org. I'm reposting that again in the chat. So this is where you can reach me. I can share some details on how to get the membership and what are the benefits. So additionally, there will be a feedback form sent to all the participants. Kindly go through the feedback form. Kindly submit your reviews, your feedback. That will help us tailor these sessions more for the audience. Thanks a lot for joining. Thank you, Seema. That was a very informative session. It was really, really amazing talking to you. Thanks a lot for
thanks,
taking
Anand.
some time from your busy schedule and joining us on this conference. I know we have exceeded the time by almost 20 plus minutes. I'm sorry about that. But it was really informative session. Thanks a lot. Any
Thanks,
closing remarks from your
Anand.
side?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is really a very good session, and thanks for giving me the opportunity and the questions, helped me to think through. And, it was really that way I can make out, yes, it is beneficial to people, but I will be only happy when I will see you, whoever has attended that session, at least publish one paper. Then I will say, yes, this is a success rate for me. Thanks, everyone.
Sure. Yeah, that's a comment for everyone. If you are publishing a paper, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll be happy to know that this session have helped you a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining the call. Thanks a lot, Seema. Thanks a lot, Vishwas, for joining us on call. So, we'll be closing the session. Thanks a lot, everyone. You can leave the session now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy.